I'm from Anvarta. I'm Mayuri. I'll probably give a brief snapshot about Anvarta before I start. So Anvarta is an organization which is it's dedicated to helping other organizations to transition to a clean and regenerative model. So we are primarily active in operating in three pillars. One is providing educations and insights. I think this presentation and a lot of the work that we do in capacity building fall in line with that. So we are currently developing an education hub. We have 9 courses that we have that are in the pipeline for development, and 3 of them have been released. And there's a knowledge hub also under development. So primarily focusing on clean and moving towards a clean and a circular economy. We are also in consulting. Some of them are, some of the consulting work we do are in helping companies to transition to a regenerative model. Some of them fall in line with management consulting, such as transformation management, or environmental and sustainability consulting, such as conducting life cycle assessments or material flow analysis. In the capacity building space specifically, we are also developing a capability assessment tool for organizations, where we have a prototype currently developed and being tested. So that's a bit of about the work we do at Anvarta. Let me introduce you to my other colleagues who are joining with me in the panel today, Kerryn and Jen. So as I mentioned, I'm Mayuri. I'm primarily sort of specializing in strategy and transformation, specifically focusing on transitioning towards a circular economy. I've worked in as an industry practitioner for nearly a decade, and then as an academic leading research programs in a university on enablers of a circular economy, and now work in the capacity of an advisor and a consultant. Kerryn, who's joining today from the Gordon TAFE, she has around 20 years of experience in multiple sectors, education and healthcare, some of them, in applying strategic design and development principles to create community outcomes as well as organizational outcomes. Jen, who's the CEO of Geelong Manufacturing Council, again is an advocate of advanced manufacturing. I think she's leading a lot of projects and programs in promoting manufacturing as well as advanced manufacturing, engaging with a number of stakeholders, including the government, and also promoting the export readiness or global market competitiveness of the manufacturing industry. So as I mentioned, the format that we have thought of was first to share the findings of the research, and then move into a panel discussion with myself, Jen, and Kerryn. And probably we'll ask 2 questions to get started. But if you have other pressing questions, if there are already kind of questions coming our way, we can basically move ahead with those at that time. Awesome. So this is the place where we come to sharing more about the work, the research. The study is called Clean Economy Skills for the Future Workforce. What we conducted was a training needs analysis for the advanced manufacturing industry. So to introduce some of the terminology, we talk about clean economy in this webinar a lot. So clean economy basically has 3 sort of pillars as defined by the Victoria's Clean Economy Workforce Development Strategy. So climate mitigation adaptation, circular economy, and clean energy. So the 3 principles that it's driving are decarbonization, decarbonizing the economy, trying to achieve regeneration with the economy through circular economy principles, and pushing towards renewable energy in terms of making the energy clean. So these 3 pillars are the 3 pillars which kind of drive what we call a clean economy. And if you think of future factories or future manufacturing industries to come, we want them to be thinking of to be conscious of these principles in the way that they set up and run their operations, as well as responsible. So consciousness and responsible of industries, adopting environment as a criteria, and implementing these 3 principles is what we see as driving transition towards a clean economy in general. Awesome. So the study that we are going to talk about, it was the Victorian government funded the study, and the Gordon TAFE secured this funding to conduct a specific program. And the program had basically two phases. Phase one was to identify the clean economy training needs of the advanced manufacturing industry in the Geelong region. So that's the piece of work that Anvarta conducted for the Gordon. And there was a phase two of the study, which was to develop a graduate program that enhances future clean economy skills, which was undertaken subsequent to this study. I think Kerryn would share a little bit more about that in the panel discussion. As I mentioned, the funding was secured. The funding was given by the Victorian government, and this is aligned with Victoria's commitment to move towards net zero. So as there's a Victorian government commitment to go for net zero emissions by 2045, there's this need that we have to build capability and skills of the future workforce. And the study that we have done is basically aligned with Victoria's clean economy workforce development strategy for 2023 to 2033. So in scoping the study, a few things that we were aware of and we took into consideration. The industry landscape is changing. Manufacturing industry is increasingly adopting advanced manufacturing techniques and I would say way of manufacturing. The manufacturing industry is increasingly adopting clean economy principles and integrating them to their practice. So those were the two phenomena we expect to happen in the coming years. And with that, when the sector gets transformed like that, the current capabilities of the industry will need to shift to a new set of future capabilities. So the study was basically, it focuses on understanding that this is happening. This is the way that the industry outlook would look like, and anticipating, predicting, and visualizing how it needs to be, and trying to predict the skill gap for the future. That's what we try to do. So the scope was basically the Geelong region, as I mentioned. So there was the idea was to understand common and distinct industry training needs associated with developing workforce capability in the clean economy space, targeting advanced manufacturing sector in the Geelong region. If we look at the manufacturing landscape in the Geelong region, there are a number of industries, various sectors which produces very different types of products. Some are highly automated processes, some are semi, some are very kind of primary industries kind of processes as well. But manufacturing in general is a predominant part of Geelong's economic, the total economic picture. It represents 19.3% of the total output. And Geelong also contributes heavily to the Victorian manufacturing industries, probably somewhere between 6 to 7% of Victorian manufacturing industries are in the Geelong region. So it's a predominant sector for Geelong. Alrighty, so that was a little bit about how the project was started, how what was the funding mechanism, what was the context that we focused on.